This is Addis News Hour, and many thanks for joining us with the news. I'm Shifa Raulako. Do stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed urges Sudan not to allow foreign interference in its internal affairs. In an official statement issued in Arabic, the Premier affirms full support to the East African nation, which recently foiled an attempted coup. We wish Sudan to overcome its current ordeal with the wisdom and professionalism accustomed to our brothers and people in Sudan. We believe that Sudan should not in any way allow external interference and apparent and hidden dictates, the statement reads. The Horn of Africa is going through a phase in which the challenges facing us, especially our experiences in Ethiopia and Sudan, are joining forces in building democratic foundations for societies with the security and stability necessary to achieve the ambitions of our two peoples for development, prosperity, and social justice, said the Prime Minister. The government and people of Ethiopia are closely following with sincere intention and fraternal sympathy for what is happening in the brotherly Sudan, and our agenda in this regard is crystal clear, the Prime Minister added. Addis Ababa City Council has re-elected Ababa as mayor of the capital. She has promised to take the city comfortable, livable, and prosperous, where all its residents enjoy equality. Alola Teklamare has more on that.
የአዲስ አበባ ከተማ አስተዳደር ከንቲባ በመሆን ስራዬን ስጀምር
As part of Ethiopia's plan to form a national government on October 4, following a general election, different regional states have started forming new governments ahead of the formation of the federal government. Addis Ababa City Council has formed its new government Tuesday and re-elected Ababa as mayor of the city. Speaking on the occasion, the mayor pledged to make the city comfortable, livable, and prosperous, where all its residents relish equality.
በአዲስ አበባ ከተማ አስተዳደር የሚደረጉ ፖለቲካዊ፣ ኢኮኖሚያዊ፣ ማህበራዊና ባህላዊ ልማት እንቅስቃሴዎችን ውጤታማ በማድረግ
making effective social, cultural, political and economic developments in the city with the new cabinet members are mandated to make Addis Ababa green, clean and suitable for all its residents. It's our prime agenda to make Addis Ababa a beacon of our prosperity and tourism and diplomatic center. Politically, the ideology of Prosperity Party will raise public participation in different activities.
ከተማው ለሁሉም ዜጎች የምትመች አረንጓዴ፣ ጽዱ፣ ሰላማዊ
Addis said the new cabinet of the city considers the inclusive nature of Addis Ababa.
የአዲሱ ምክር ቤት ከተማ አስተዳደሩም ከተማዋ ለሁላችንም ተበቃለች በሚል ጽኑ እምነት ይዞ
Sticking to its firm stance that Addis Ababa is enough for all their residents, the new cabinet is expected to overcome greediness and backward attitude and serve the public equally. To make this happen, we will have short, medium and long-term plans that can help engage the people in different aspects. Activities will also be undertaken to inclusively participate opposition political parties and civic societies in the structure. We shall work to modernize our service providing system in a way that satisfies our people.
Those elected for the council in the 6th general election organize government bodies that administer the city for the coming 5 years.
Meanwhile, incoming Addis Ababa City Council members have vowed to address key public problems. They also express readiness to contribute share in the effort to ensure peaceful and prosperous Ethiopia. Demis Makuriao reports.
138 newly elected Addis Ababa City Council members sworn in and kicked off their official responsibility as of Tuesday, September 28, 2021. The council appointed cabinets of a city administration in its debut for the next 5-year term. Members whom Ethiopian English approached for comment expressed readiness to fulfill their promise to the residents of a city.
As a member of the City Council, we are trying to do our level best to deliver the promises that we have done. There are a lot of issues that has to be addressed as early as possible. And there are several issues that are pertaining to the population living in the city, related to the social, economic and political issues. So as a member of the council, I will do my level best in my area and also supporting the city council in delivering the promises that we have made at the earliest, and also supporting the mayor so that we can do together as a community to serve the community back.
It is a huge privilege and a huge honor to be part of this council, and we also understand how big of a responsibility it is, which can also be interpreted with the things that we are planning to do. We'll also try our utmost best to interpret what we have been promising, and we hope to work with the whole society who voted for us and in general who voted in the process.
Being a part of the new city government, council members also reiterated their commitment to aggressively engage in the city priorities. They vote to support the city cabinet in the effort to address the already exacerbated cost of living, job creation and housing problems, among other things.
My contribution will be providing research evidence on how to reduce the cost of living and how to improve the economic condition of the city, how to improve employment, and how to handle, how to be inclusive of poor people and children and also other social disadvantaged people. So it has to be based on research results. So my contribution will be that the city should follow evidence based on achieving some of problem-solving results.
The cabinet will be the one responsible to answer the so many questions of the city, economic, social, and others. And the role of the council is to make sure that the executive is performing as per the promises that we gave to the public, the promises that we have put into our manifesto during the election. The city council will not only be responsible to oversee, but also to support the executive and also make sure that public questions have been answered properly as per the becoming of the office.
The new members also expressed urgency of properly dealing with the Tigray crisis to save the country from the burden of a war.
We are at a critical point currently because of several factors that are pushed by foreign governments and also several key issues. And as an academic institution, we are trying to support the government. We are trying to support the unity of the country and try to inform the outer society so that they will get the clear and the correct information as much as we can.
We have been facing a lot of challenges that seemed like at the time very at a which put the country as a breaking point. But we have passed all of them. We're here today. And we're still facing some challenges, some huge challenges that as a society we need to work strongly.
You shouldn't forget the economic activities during the war. You have to continue. So my contribution will be how to boost the economy and how to solve some of the problems that we see in the economic sector during the crisis.
The Eritrean Foreign Minister Osman Sadi on Monday blamed Ethiopia's Tigray People's Liberation Front TPLF rebels for provoking a major war in Tigray. The comment came from Osman during a pre-recorded message to the United Nations General Assembly in New York. He also accused the United States and its European allies of defending the TPLF's illicit and dangerous acts of insurrection and mayhem and marshal all the tools at their disposal to rehabilitate it at any cost. Take a listen.
TPLF's aims included subsequent military acts of aggression against Eritrea. The grave danger that these reckless and illicit acts by this rogue group to Ethiopia, Eritrea, and the Horn of Africa region as a whole is too evident to merit further elaboration. But what we find inexcusable is the position of certain countries, notably the United States and its European allies, to defend the TPLF's illicit and dangerous acts of insurrection and mayhem and marshal all the tools in their disposal to rehabilitate it at any cost.
Ethiopians and Eritreans in the diaspora have rallied against CNN in Washington, D.C. The demonstrators in their placards urge one of the world's popular media house, CNN, to stop distorting facts about the crisis in Tigray. Take a listen.
Nima al-Bagir! CNN! CNN! Stop! Stop! Reporting! Fake and biased news! CNN! CNN! Stop! Stop! Fabricating news about Ethiopia and Eritrea! CNN! We are going to call her out. Nima! Her name is Nima! Nima al-Bagir! Nima al-Bagir! Nima! Look, listen! She is a Sudanese reporter, an international correspondent, but she's not a journalist. She is a fake journalist. Journalists report the truth. She's never been in Ethiopia, but reporting fake on Ethiopia. Fake news. Nima, shame on you! Nima, shame on you! CNN! Listen, CNN! Fire Nima! She is a liar! She is a liar! Fire her! Who? When? Fire her! When? No! The American people, stop misleading the American people.
ጋምቤላ ብሔራዊ ፓርክ ህልውናው ተመስርቷል የሚባለው ወንዞች አንደኛ ጊሎ ወንዝ አለ፣ ሁለተኛ የባሮ ወንዝ አለ፣ ሶስተኛ አልዌሮ ወንዝ አለ። እነዚህ ሶስቱ ወንዞች አመቱን ሙሉ ፓርኩን እያቋረጡ ስለሚያልፉ የማይነጥፍ አረንጓዴ ሆኖ አመቱን ሙሉ እናየዋለን።
በተና ችግሩ ዋና መንገድ ፓርክ ላይ እዛ መንገድ የለም።
ተፈጥሮ ሀብት የምንላቸው በብሔራዊ ፓርክ ውስጥ ከ69 በላይ አጥቢ የዱር እንስሳት ይገኙበታል። ከ372 በላይ የአዕዋፍ ዝርያ ይገኙበታል። ከ92 በላይ የአሳ ዝርያ ይገኙበታል። አልፎም ከ400 42 በላይ የእጽዋት ዝርያ ይገኙበታል።
Welcome back. You're still watching Addis News Hour. As the war against the terrorist TPLF drags on, TPLF commanders are still plotting to repeat mass massacre and other destructions with the view to pressuring the federal government. All the while, these destructive forces and their diaspora agents remain confident that the international community will stand by them. Meanwhile, some members of the diaspora and the so-called TDF have openly challenged the group's fascistic assault in Afar and Amhara, as well as some tactics applied by its leadership. Sintayo Tamrat has more on that.
For nearly half a century, the TPLF has been a destructive machine to Ethiopia and the Horn region. During its 17-year guerrilla fighting, the TPLF looted public properties, destroyed bridges, and burned schools, courts, health centers, and killed innocent Tigrayans that stood in its way of translating its evil agendas into reality. It even neutralized its own combatants for advancing plural views. This shows the group's prime agenda is to succeed with its old political ideology of destroying whatever fits impediment to the party goal, which is weakening and ultimately dismantling Ethiopia by dividing the people and causing ethnic conflicts. And this is in fact what the party was doing in its 3-decade regime as ruling party in Ethiopia, which ultimately caused massive public grievance that ousted TPLF from federal power. Some TPLF members have taken the initiative to oppose the November 2020 assault on the National Defense Force, as well as the current aggression in Afar and Amhara regions. This diaspora and so-called TDF wings have taken the initiative to condemn core TPLF army leaders of pulling away from reality. Some have been bold enough to call upon the leadership to renounce their old manifesto of dismantling Ethiopia and head towards ethnic Amharas, etc. And a recently leaked video of TPLF commanders revealed that they are still plotting other attacks, proving that they remain dogged in their path of destruction.
እዚ ለሚና ከም ዘይንፈትሖ ንፈልጥ አጸብና ለሚና ዝኽፈት ነገር የለን ብለሚና በጃኹም ደወሉልና ኢልና ዘይንፈትሖ ምዃንና ንፈልጥ እዩ ብሓይልና ከም ንሰውሮ ድማ ንኣምን ኢና ክንሰውሮ እዩ ድማ ንዓፂር ግዜ ከምዚ ኢልካ ምጽናሕ ከም ዘይከኣሉ ንፈልጥ ኢና ስለዚ ፈንጂ ኢዶም ሒዞም ኣለዉ ፈንጂ እዮም ፃወቱ ዘለዉ ኣብ ኢዶም ድማ ክፍንዲ እዩ ኣነ እዚ ንዕኦም ታናይ መወዳእታ ገመድ እያ ተሪፋቶም ዘላ ተን ብዙሓት ገመዳት ኣብ ውሽጢ ዝነበራ እናተበተኻ ተወዲአን ሕዚ እዚኣ
In spite of the fact that a lot of Tigrayan children and youth have died being cannon fodderers in TPLF's foray into Afar and Amhara regions, the TPLF continues to use aid trucks for destructive war and even plot further assault against innocent Amhara and Afars. TPLF warmongers have further revealed that there are members of the Ethiopian diplomatic mission abroad who are giving them a hand in this destructive endeavor.
እንትርፊ ኣብ ምህናፃና ሓድነታ ዝኾነ ዓይነት እንከን ዘሎ ጸገም ፈጢሩ ዘይፈልጥ ህዝቢ ምናልባሽ ህይወትን ንብረትን ፍልጦትን ነዛ ዓዲ ዝብል ነዊሕ እዋን ዝሰርሐ ህዝቢ እዩ ስለዚ ሕዚ ኣሻጥር ናይ ጸላውን እንዳፈሸለ ትክክለኛ አቋምን አካይዳና ህዝብ ትግራይ እውን እንዳተረዳ ዓለም ይኸይድ ኣሎ ስለዚ ተዓወታይ እንተ ኢልኩምኒ ፖለቲካሊ ሌጋሊ and ወታደራዊ እንተኾነ እና ብናይ ህዝብና ሞራል ምሕላው እንተኾነ ብናይ ዓለም ዲፕሎማሲው እንተኾነ ዓብይ ርሕቀት ከይድና ኣለና ኣብ ዝለዓለ ወታደራዊ ዓቕሚ በፂሕና ኣለና ንሕና ጸላኣይ ብጭቡጥ ንህልውና ኢሉ ዝዛረበሉ ንሕና ኸ ህልውናና ረጋጊጽና ጸላኣ ደምሲ
Many Ethiopian politicians accuse the TPLF of using the money it looted from Ethiopia for international lobbying. That explains why international diplomacy has for the most part tilted in its favor.
Journalist Hermela Aragawim from CBS Los Angeles bashes the BBC's recent report on why UN trucks are not returning from Tigray. Hermela exposed the intention of the BBC report, which attributes lack of fuel and intimidation of drivers on checkpoints for trucks not being able to return from Tigray. Habtam Ashagri has more.
A convoy of 50 World Food Programme trucks rolled into Tigray's capital Mekelle on Tuesday, carrying 900 metric tons of food. That's enough to cover
United Nations Aid Agency estimates that 100 trucks with food, non-food items and fuel need to enter Tigray every day. In the 2 months to 16 September, 466 trucks had entered Tigray through the Afar region, but only 38 had made the return journey, according to the United Nations. According to aid agencies, creating difficulties to effectively reach those in need with adequate quantities. We are unable to assemble convoys of significant size due to lack of trucks, a spokesperson for the World Food Programme said. The BBC recently inquired about why these trucks are not returning from Tigray. Quoting a statement from the TPLF, the BBC tried to associate with the impediment with shortage of fuel and intimidation of drivers at checkpoints. The truck drivers are provided with fuel that's only enough for a one-way trip to Tigray. They are not provided with reserve fuel to return that is customary on such trips, the Tigray People's Liberation Front said in a statement trying to justify the impediment. Ethiopia's Commissioner for National Disaster Risk Management, Mitiku Kasa, however, rejected the suggestion that a shortage of fuel is stopping the trucks. Journalist Hermela Aragawi from CBS Los Angeles recently tried to dig the truth based on these controversial reports. Hermela reached UN OCHA to verify the amount of fuel drivers have provided to deliver aid. The report she received from the UN indicated that 200,000 liters or for up to 5 tankers of fuel need to arrive in Tigray, Ethiopia each week to meet the humanitarian needs. UNOCHA spokesperson told her that number is based on the 100 trucks a day that need to arrive in the region. 200,000 liters of fuel for 700 trucks. Since July 12, 300,000 liters of fuel arrived in Tigray. Based on the UN's data, that appears to be enough to support more than 1,000 trucks. If enough fuel for 1,000 trucks arrived in Tigray in the same period in question, how can it be that there is not enough fuel for all of the 466 air trucks that arrived in Tigray since July 12? Hermela challenged BBC's report. About 428 have yet to return. Hermela concludes that these trucks might be used for war, even if the BBC does not seem to be interested to investigate that.
Opposition candidates who made it to the parliament hope that the new House of People's Representatives will entertain different ideas for a new political dispensation. They also urge the new government to work on uniting the country at this critical juncture. Kasaun Chane takes it from here.
Ethiopia is in a countdown to see the formation of a new government which is supposed to accommodate different interests unlike the previous ones. Taking the majority of votes, the ruling party is supposed to dominate the new parliament, but many are optimistic that opposition political figures will take government positions. Though few in number, opposition political candidates who made it to the parliament hope that the new parliament will entertain different ideas, accepting the role for a new political dispensation.
We believe that it would have been better if we had a parliament that accommodates different thoughts and ideologies. But unfortunately, only a handful of opposing candidates could make it to the parliament. Whatever the case, we will do our best to make it a place where different ideas will be discussed. The people expect us to raise issues that should be addressed by the incumbent. I hope our presence will add some color to the parliament. The House will be quite different as a range of ideas will most likely be entertained. Members of parliament should not be happy here to only raise hands. there should be a friction of ideas.
በሕገ መንግስቱም ከፍተኛው የስልጣን አካል እንደመሆኑ መጠን
Supreme power is bestowed upon the parliament by the constitution, so it should exercise its power to protect the people and sovereignty of the nation.
It is also said that the organizational structure alone will not be effective and that human resource placement and management guidelines supported by qualified professionals should be given due attention.
China strongly opposes arbitrary unilateral sanctions or the use of force or interference in other countries' internal affairs. That's according to Chinese ambassador to Ethiopia, Zhao Zhiyuan. The ambassador made the remark in virtual reception celebrating the 72nd anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. The ambassador affirms that China firmly supports Ethiopia's efforts in safeguarding national sovereignty and independence and believes that the government has the capacity and wisdom of managing internal affairs. China will continue to work along with the Ethiopian people for peace, stability, and prosperity, the ambassador added. Both China and Ethiopia are ancient civilizations. The two countries' people have the shared character of tenacity and perseverance. China-Ethiopia traditional friendship is time-tested and keeps gaining strength, the ambassador indicated. The iconic Ethiopian film producer and director Theodros Tashoma briefed EU representatives to Ethiopia to help them understand the real cause of the Tigray crisis. He unequivocally pointed out that the TPLF is aggressively working and conspiring to make ethnicities in the country pit against one another. Take a listen.
The TPLF was forced to leave power after 27 years of looting the country to its core. And the current Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power with a promise to bring the country together and also with a promise to make peace with Eritrea. The TPLF knew their time has come to take it to the north and start working towards their hidden agenda of secession. Unusually in Africa, the new Prime Minister allowed the TPLF members to take whatever they looted and live peacefully in their region. But the TPLF forces wouldn't take it in staying without power. Their hunger for power wouldn't let go. They started using the money they looted to buy greedy messengers within different states of Ethiopia and funded extremists to kill their own races brutally. The new Ethiopian government literally begged the TPLF forces to stop their evil deeds to an elephant's ear. And the TPLF forces attacked the military base with more than 75% of the nation's weaponry and killed thousands of soldiers who have been protecting them for 20 years and vowed to wage war against Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Defense Force retaliated, took over the weapons, and the Amhara militia took back the land that has been taken by force from it 30 years ago.
He urges the EU and its member states to support the government of Ethiopia at this very critical time if they really want to see a united Ethiopia.
Ethiopian National Defense Force has won the war at the battlefront, but it is defeated with the diplomatic war and the propaganda. Diplomacy in the developed world is all about money, lobbyists, connection, and nepotism. The TPLF leaders have done their job well by assigning their members and supporters like Dr. Tedros Adhanom of WHO so that they disseminate their fabricated information when the day comes. The new Ethiopian government didn't get enough time to work on all these fields before the war took its full course. It looks like the American government and the European Union are biased and are sympathizing with the TPLF forces who have been declared terrorists by the Ethiopian parliament. We Ethiopians are sad to hear that well-respected organizations like the European Union can easily be manipulated by baseless and misleading informations of the TPLF. But I tell you now that helping the TPLF means destabilizing the Horn of Africa. So, if you want a strong nation in the Horn of Africa, please help your friends in the European Union to stand with Ethiopia. If you are confused whom to trust, just take your hands off Ethiopia. Tell your friends at the European Union to take their hands off Ethiopia and let us solve our problems the way we can.
Now moving on, investments of about $280 billion will be needed to cope with the effects of climate change in 35 cities in South Africa, Kenya, and Ethiopia by 2050, new research shows. Africa is the fastest urbanizing continent and also the hardest hit by global warming. The Coalition for Urban Transitions, which advises governments on economic development and climate change, said in a report released on Monday. Africa's urban development is likely to confront unprecedented biophysical risk, the group said. 3 pillars will be crucial for low-carbon, climate-resilient urban development: compact urban growth, connected infrastructure, and clean technologies. In recent years, unusually strong cyclones have struck the continent's southeast coast. Droughts have parched southern Africa, and floods and landslides have plagued the Horn of Africa. Cape Town, South Africa's second largest city, almost ran out of water in 2018. Africa's urban population increased 20-fold between 1950 and 2015 to some 567 million people, making efficient and inclusive urban planning extremely difficult, according to the report. A further 950 million people are expected to live in Africa cities by 2050. South Africa will need $215 billion in investment in its cities, Kenya $27 billion, and Ethiopia $42 billion, the report found. You're still watching Addis News Hour. Moving on, after the horrors that healthcare workers have endured during the pandemic, many are struggling to sympathize with people who won't get vaccinated. Doctors in South Africa are pleading with patients to get jabbed. Those ending up in ICU with severe symptoms are mainly unvaccinated. Strained doctors and healthcare workers say they are now succumbing to compassion fatigue, according to CGTN. Finally, a quick reminder of the top stories. Addis Ababa City Council appoints its mayor. And Ethiopians and Eritreans in DC rally against CNN. And with that, we come to the end of today's news. Many thanks for watching us. Bye-bye.